I built Facebook, but I almost lost everything. What I learned will shock you. Imagine being 19 years old and creating something that will change the world. That's exactly what I did. In 2004, while I was a student at Harvard, I built Facebook, a social network that would grow into one of the largest and most influential companies in the world. But how did it happen? It all started with a simple idea: connecting people. Everyone wants to stay in touch with their friends and family, no matter where they are. And I realized that there was a way to make this possible by creating a platform where people could share their lives online. But to get there, I had to face challenges and doubts. Not everyone believed a college student could build something this big. I wasn't like most of the other students. While many of them were focused on traditional career paths, I was obsessed with building something new. I was passionate about technology, and I had a vision. I didn't have millions of dollars or any big investors at the start. But what I did have was determination, a great team of friends, and the belief that Facebook could make a difference. I decided to leave Harvard. It was one of the most difficult decisions of my life, but it turned out to be the right one. I wanted to focus all my energy on Facebook. At the time, it was just an idea, and it wasn't easy. Many people said I was crazy. Why would you leave Harvard? You have everything here, they'd tell me. But I knew that if I didn't take the risk, I'd never know what Facebook could become. What I didn't expect was how fast Facebook would grow. What started as a small website for Harvard students quickly spread to other universities, and then to the whole world. Today, over 2.8 billion people use Facebook every single day. If I had listened to all the people who doubted me, I wouldn't have built what we have today. It's crazy to think how far we've come. But it all started with a simple idea, one that I believed in enough to follow, even when it was hard. This journey taught me that success isn't about having everything in place. It's about having the courage to try, even when the future is uncertain. So, to anyone who has a dream, go for it. Don't wait. Believe in your idea and work hard. That's how things change. When I left Harvard to focus on Facebook, I had no idea how much it would change my life. It wasn't an easy decision. People thought I was crazy. I was leaving one of the best universities in the world, giving up a safe future, and following a dream that might never work out. But deep down, I knew that if I didn't take this leap, I'd always wonder what could have happened. It wasn't just about making money or becoming famous. For me, it was always about connecting people. Facebook's mission was simple: to help people connect and share what matters to them. I believe technology could help us build a more open and connected world, where we could communicate across distances, cultures, and languages. I saw a world where people could build stronger relationships, whether they were next door or on the other side of the globe. And this idea, this dream, pushed me forward even when things seemed impossible. But things weren't easy at first. There were plenty of obstacles. At the beginning, Facebook was just a website that students could use to share photos, write posts, and connect with each other. It wasn't designed to be the giant it is today, but it grew fast. People loved it. And the more people used it, the more I realized how powerful it could be. As Facebook's popularity grew, so did the pressure to make it work. There were long nights, arguments with my team, and moments when I wondered if we would ever succeed. Facebook was not the first social network, but it quickly became different. My team and I worked day and night, creating new features, improving the user experience, and making the platform more accessible to more people. We were all young, most of us in our early 20s, and we were driven by one goal: to build something meaningful. But it wasn't just about working hard. It was about doing something that had the potential to make a real impact on the world. I remember the first time Facebook became available to everyone. It wasn't just for college students anymore. The entire world could join. It felt incredible to see people from different countries, cultures, and backgrounds using Facebook to stay connected. The vision we had was becoming a reality. But with success came even bigger challenges. The media attention, the competition, the pressure to keep growing. There were also people who tried to stop us. In the early days, Facebook faced several lawsuits. Some people claimed that I stole their ideas, while others wanted a piece of the company. It was a tough time. I had to fight to protect the idea I believed in. I knew that Facebook wasn't just mine. It belonged to the users, to the millions of people who were finding new ways to connect with each other. I wasn't going to let anyone take that away. What I've learned from these challenges is that it's easy to get distracted by what others say. It's easy to doubt yourself when things aren't going as planned. But if you truly believe in what you're doing, and if you're willing to keep going, you can overcome almost anything. No matter how many obstacles you face, no matter how many people tell you that you can't do it, if you stay focused and believe in your vision, success will follow. The first few years of Facebook weren't perfect. We had a lot of ups and downs. But looking back now, I'm proud of what we've achieved. We've built a company that has helped connect billions of people around the world. We've changed the way people communicate, share information, and stay in touch with each other. And I'm just getting started. Building Facebook wasn't all smooth sailing. The truth is, in the early days, I made mistakes, big ones. People talk about success, but what they don't often mention is how many failures and missteps happen along the way. If you're building something new, you're going to face challenges. You'll make mistakes. But those mistakes, if you learn from them, can teach you more than any textbook or business school ever could. One of the biggest challenges I faced in the early days of Facebook was deciding what to prioritize. The platform was growing quickly, and every day there seemed to be a new feature or update we had to implement. It was easy to get caught up in the pressure of constant growth and try to please everyone. But I quickly realized that trying to do everything at once wasn't the right strategy. I learned that sometimes less is more. In fact, one of the most important lessons I've learned over the years is that failure isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. When Facebook first launched, there were plenty of critics who thought it wouldn't last. People laughed at the idea of connecting people through a website. But instead of feeling discouraged, I used their criticism as fuel. Every time someone doubted me, it pushed me to work harder, to prove them wrong, and to build something better. It wasn't just the external challenges that tested me. Internally, I had to constantly push myself to grow. I wasn't just leading a tech company. I was leading a team of brilliant, talented people. And as a leader, I had to learn how to manage relationships, handle pressure, and make difficult decisions. I wasn't prepared for all of this when I started, but I learned along the way. In the early years of Facebook, I didn't care much about money. What mattered was creating something that would connect the world. I wanted to build a platform that people would use every day. I wasn't interested in becoming a billionaire. But as the company grew, I began to understand that running a business is more than just building a great product. It's about building a sustainable company, taking care of your team, and making sure that your vision stays strong. Some of the hardest lessons came when things didn't go as planned. For example, the privacy issues we faced in Facebook's early years. People started questioning how we handled their personal information. We had to change the way we approached privacy, and we learned a lot from those mistakes. I took responsibility for those failures, but more importantly, I made sure that we learned from them and became a better company. What I've realized over the years is that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a part of it. Every failure teaches you something valuable, and if you don't let it stop you, it can make you stronger. So, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just make sure you learn from them. And keep going. As Facebook continued to grow, so did the pressure. We were no longer just a small project in a college dorm. The world was watching, and expectations were rising fast. With success came increased attention, and with that attention came criticism. Some people loved Facebook, but many didn't. It's funny, when things are going well, it's easy to get caught up in the praise. But when you're being criticized, it's much harder to stay focused. The pressure to conform to what everyone else thought Facebook should be was huge. There were moments when people questioned our vision. They wondered if we were doing enough to protect privacy, if Facebook was becoming too powerful, or if we were just trying to make money off people's personal lives. I remember some of these moments being really tough. At times, it felt like no matter what we did, people weren't satisfied. It was like we couldn't win. But here's the thing I've learned. When you believe in your mission, you can't let external noise distract you. If I had let the critics steer Facebook in every direction they wanted, I don't think we would be where we are today. Facebook's mission has always been to make the world more open and connected. I knew that our platform had the potential to bring people together like never before. And that was more important than anything else. One of the hardest parts of leading Facebook was figuring out how to stay true to our mission while navigating the pressures of building a global company. As Facebook grew, I had to make difficult decisions that sometimes didn't make everyone happy. We've made mistakes, we've faced challenges, and we've learned from them. But through it all, I kept reminding myself of why we started Facebook in the first place, to help people connect and build community. I also learned that criticism is a natural part of building something big. The bigger you get, the more people will have an opinion about what you're doing. Some of those opinions will be helpful, but many won't be. The key is to listen carefully, learn from what's constructive, and ignore what doesn't serve your vision. I believe that one of the reasons Facebook has been able to keep growing, despite the criticism, is because we've stayed focused on our long-term goal. Our mission hasn't changed, and it never will. As a leader, it's not easy to stay focused when everyone around you is telling you what you should be doing. But what I've realized is that true success comes from staying true to your vision. If you believe in what you're building, you have to trust yourself and trust your team. People will come and go, opinions will change, and the world will keep turning. But the most important thing is staying focused on the mission that drives you. By the time Facebook had reached over 1 billion users, I began to realize that my role as CEO had changed. What started as a small idea in my dorm room had turned into a global company with the power to shape how the world connects. But with that power came a responsibility to do more than just grow the company, but to use Facebook to make the world a better place. As Facebook grew, I also started thinking about my role beyond business. I wanted to make a real difference in the world, and that's when I decided to focus on giving back. In 2015, my wife, Priscilla, and I made a commitment to donate 99% of our Facebook shares to causes that would improve human potential and promote equality. We called it the Zuckerberg Initiative, and its mission was to advance science, education, and justice for everyone. The decision to give away most of our wealth was not something we took lightly. It was one of the most difficult and personal choices I've ever made. But when I think about what I want my legacy to be, it's not about how much money I have or how big Facebook gets. It's about the impact we can have on the world. If we can help solve some of the biggest problems facing humanity, like disease, education, and poverty, then we'll have truly achieved something worth celebrating. But the commitment to giving back wasn't just about writing big checks. It was about using the platform we built to have a positive impact. Over the years, we've used Facebook to help people find jobs, support causes, and raise awareness about important issues. I've always believed that the more connected people are, the more they can make a difference in the world. And Facebook has played a big part in that. At the same time, I've learned that doing good in the world isn't always easy. We face challenges every day, whether it's addressing issues of misinformation, privacy, or security. The internet is a powerful tool, but it also comes with risks. We've had to learn and adapt, and I've had to make tough decisions to keep the platform safe and trustworthy. Every challenge we face is a reminder of the responsibility we have to our users and to the world. But I also believe that making a difference doesn't happen overnight. It's not about one big idea or one big action. It's about making small, consistent efforts every day. Whether you're building a company or trying to change the world, it's those small steps that add up over time. And they make all the difference in the end. Running Facebook is not always easy. As the company grew, I realized that the challenges I faced were getting bigger, too. When we started, it was just a small team working out of a college dorm. But now, Facebook is a global platform that affects billions of people every day. With that growth came huge responsibilities and even bigger problems to solve. One of the most difficult challenges I've faced as CEO is keeping Facebook true to its mission while navigating the fast-changing world of technology and public opinion. Facebook's growth has been driven by its ability to connect people from all walks of life. But with that success also came criticism. Some people began to question whether Facebook was doing enough to protect users' privacy and whether the platform was being used to spread harmful content. These were tough moments. I had to face difficult questions about whether we were doing enough to prevent the spread of fake news, protect people's data, and ensure the platform was being used for good. We made mistakes, and those mistakes were heavily criticized. But I knew that the most important thing was to acknowledge those mistakes and make changes. We started working harder to improve our platform, increase transparency, and address these issues head-on. In fact, Facebook has spent billions of dollars over the years to improve security, strengthen privacy protections, and ensure that the platform is used responsibly. We've added new tools to give people more control over their data, introduced artificial intelligence to help detect harmful content, and increased the number of people working at Facebook to tackle these issues. But there's still more work to do. Every day, we have to think about how to protect the trust people have placed in us. One thing that has always helped me in these tough situations is remembering the vision that led me to create Facebook in the first place. The idea of making the world more open and connected has never changed. Even when facing criticism, I always remind myself why we started and why we need to keep pushing forward. When you're building something that has the power to change the world, you will face challenges. But it's how you respond to those challenges that defines your success. What I've learned is that leadership isn't just about making decisions. It's about taking responsibility for your actions. Running a company like Facebook is a huge responsibility. Every decision we make has an impact on millions, if not billions, of people. And as difficult as it can be at times, it's a responsibility I'm proud to carry. As Facebook grew, it became clear that not everyone would support us. When you create something that has such a big impact, there will always be critics. Some people love what you're doing, while others think you're making a mistake. But what I've learned over the years is that criticism is part of the journey. It's easy to listen to praise, but it's the criticism that often teaches us the most. In the early days, many people told me Facebook was just a fad. They didn't think it would last. Others were worried about the privacy risks, especially when we started allowing people to share so much personal information. I took those concerns seriously. At first, I didn't have all the answers. But instead of ignoring the criticism, I listened carefully and took action. We made changes to how Facebook handled privacy, and over time, we became more transparent about how people's data was used. One of the biggest pieces of criticism came when Facebook was accused of spreading misinformation. During the 2016 U.S. election, some people used Facebook to spread false news, and the media had a field day with it. It was tough. We were being blamed for things we didn't intentionally create. But I knew we had to fix it. So, we took steps to improve how we handled news on the platform. We introduced fact-checking, partnered with outside organizations, and put in place new rules for what could be shared on Facebook. At the same time, I had to stay focused on the bigger picture. It wasn't just about dealing with critics or fixing the problems. It was about staying true to the mission of Facebook, to connect the world and help people communicate in ways that were never possible before. And even when things were difficult, I knew that we were building something that had the potential to change the world. Sometimes, staying true to that purpose meant making unpopular decisions. For example, we made the choice to invest heavily in artificial intelligence, AI, to improve the platform and protect users from harmful content. While this decision was criticized by some, we believed it was the right path forward. AI is now helping us detect and remove hate speech, fake news, and other harmful content before people even see it. It's not perfect, but it's a huge step in the right direction. What I've learned is that criticism can be a powerful tool. It's a chance to grow and become better. It can be hard to face, especially when it feels like the world is against you. But I've always tried to remember that we're building something bigger than ourselves. We're creating a platform that connects people, fosters community, and gives everyone a voice. That's what keeps me going, even in the toughest times. As Facebook grew, it became clear that we weren't just building a social network. We were building an ecosystem. People weren't just using Facebook to share updates or connect with friends. They were using it to stay in touch with family, build businesses, and even create entire communities. And while that was exciting, it also came with a whole new set of challenges. One of the biggest hurdles was scaling the platform to meet the needs of billions of people. Early on, it was just my team and me working in a small office, but as Facebook expanded, we had to grow the team quickly. We needed engineers, designers, product managers, people with the skills to help us build the next version of Facebook. The speed at which we had to grow was both thrilling and overwhelming. We were hiring more people than we had ever imagined. And with each new hire came new challenges. At the same time, we had to deal with the complexities of running a global business. As Facebook expanded beyond the U.S. and into countries all over the world, we faced new cultural, political, and legal challenges. What works in one country doesn't always work in another. Every region has its own needs, and we had to figure out how to balance local regulations with our global mission of connecting people. For example, in some countries, the government wanted to control what people could say online. We had to find ways to respect freedom of speech while also ensuring that Facebook remained a safe place for everyone. Another major challenge was keeping the platform secure. As we grew, so did the number of threats. Hackers, data breaches, and cyber attacks were a constant concern. Protecting user data became a top priority, and we invested heavily in building better security systems and protocols. But no matter how much we invested, we couldn't prevent every attack. It's something we've learned to accept. The larger you get, the bigger the targets you become. And with that, the pressure to protect everyone's information is immense. The challenges didn't end there. We also had to figure out how to make Facebook profitable. We started with no plans for advertising, but as the platform grew, we realized that we could create a space where businesses could reach their audiences in a meaningful way. We introduced ads, and for the first time, Facebook became a source of revenue. But with that revenue came the need for even more accountability. We had to ensure that businesses were using the platform in a way that respected users' privacy and trust. Through all of this, I learned that growth is messy. It's full of unexpected twists, bumps in the road, and tough decisions. But it's also one of the most exciting parts of building something. If you want to grow, you have to be ready to face the unknown, embrace challenges, and be willing to adapt as things change. No matter how big you get, you always need to stay agile and be ready to pivot when needed. Building Facebook wasn't always smooth sailing. In fact, the first few years were filled with so many crazy moments that, at the time, I thought they might be the end of it all. But looking back now, I see that those bumps were some of the most important moments in our journey. And sometimes, they were even a little funny. One of the first problems I had to deal with was the pressure of being so young. I was 19 when we launched Facebook, and while I loved what I was doing, I didn't always feel like a CEO. In fact, I wasn't even sure what a CEO was supposed to do. My idea of leading a company involved coding and brainstorming with my team, not wearing suits or sitting in board meetings. I remember the first big meeting I had with investors. I showed up wearing a hoodie and jeans, like I always did, while the investors were in suits, acting all professional. I was nervous, but excited to share our progress. But as soon as I started talking about Facebook, one of the investors asked, "So, what's your business model?" I looked at him and replied, "What do you mean?" I honestly didn't know how to answer that. I had no idea how we were going to make money. I was so focused on making Facebook better and getting more people to use it that I hadn't even thought about revenue. Thankfully, the investors were supportive and believed in the vision enough to take a chance on us. Another funny moment came when we first started working on Facebook's mobile version. At the time, smartphones weren't as advanced as they are now, and mobile apps weren't nearly as popular. We launched the first version of Facebook on mobile, and it was, well, let's just say it wasn't pretty. It was slow, clunky, and looked terrible on most phones. People started complaining, and I remember being up late, trying to fix bugs while my phone buzzed with angry comments from users. It was a stressful time, but looking back, I can't help but laugh. The whole experience taught me that no matter how perfect you think something is, it's never going to be perfect when it first launches. The important thing is to keep improving it, even when people are frustrated. But the craziest and funniest moment came when we were first introduced to the idea of viral growth. We realized that Facebook was growing much faster than we had anticipated. One day, I woke up to find out that we had just hit 1 million users. It was amazing, but also a little terrifying. I thought, how did this happen? I remember sitting there in my dorm room, checking the numbers over and over. It felt unreal. And then the crazy part happened. We had an accidental bug that allowed people to invite their entire friend list to join Facebook. It was a glitch. We didn't mean to do it, but suddenly, people's friend lists were getting flooded with invites. The number of users exploded overnight. And we thought, well, I guess we're going to have to figure out how to scale this thing fast. There were also plenty of moments when I felt completely out of my depth. I remember the first time I was interviewed by the media, and I completely blanked. They asked me about the future of Facebook, and I ended up giving a rambling answer about how we were trying to make the world more connected, while looking like a deer in headlights. It wasn't my best moment, but I quickly realized that being genuine is better than pretending to know everything. So, I started to be more open about what we didn't know, and that helped build trust with our users and investors. Through all these funny and awkward moments, I learned that being a leader doesn't mean you have to have all the answers. It's about being willing to learn, adapt, and laugh at yourself along the way. People don't expect you to be perfect, but they do expect you to keep trying and pushing forward. As Facebook became a household name, I found myself facing new challenges I never imagined. For example, suddenly I was expected to be more than just the creator of a tech platform. I was now seen as a leader of a global company. And let me tell you, that came with its own set of hilarious moments. One of the first things I realized was that I was terrible at public speaking. Sure, I could code all night long and come up with cool ideas, but putting myself out there and talking to thousands of people, that was a different story. In the early days, I would freeze up in front of large crowds. I remember giving one of my first big speeches as Facebook was growing. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing, and I could barely string a sentence together. At one point, I even said, so many times that people started counting them. I swear, I probably said, at least 50 times in one speech. But instead of getting discouraged, I decided to embrace it. I started practicing public speaking more. I learned to laugh at myself and stop taking every awkward moment so seriously. Over time, I got better. I still wasn't the best speaker, but I became much more comfortable with it. I learned that being authentic, even when you're nervous, is more important than being perfect. Then, there was the issue of how to balance my personal life with running Facebook. When you're building a company from the ground up, it's easy to get lost in the work and forget to take care of yourself. I remember there was a time when I was working around the clock. I would wake up, check Facebook, go to meetings, and work late into the night. It was exhausting. But then, something funny happened. I realized that I was getting grumpier, more tired, and not thinking as clearly. So, I decided to take a break and do something I hadn't done in years. I went outside and played a game of ping pong. Ping pong became my secret weapon. Every time I felt overwhelmed, I'd take a few minutes to play a game with my team. It helped clear my mind and gave me a chance to laugh and bond with my friends and coworkers. In a way, ping pong became a symbol of how I had to learn to balance work and fun. Even the CEO of a billion-dollar company needs to unwind sometimes. As Facebook continued to grow, I also realized how much I had to learn about managing a large team. In the beginning, it was just a few of us working together, and we all knew each other well. But as the company expanded, I found myself leading a team of hundreds, then thousands. I had to learn how to communicate more effectively, delegate tasks, and trust people to do their jobs. And let me tell you, that was hard. I wasn't used to giving up control. But slowly, I learned that the best way to lead was by empowering my team, not micromanaging them. One of the funniest moments in this journey came when we hired one of our first big executives. I was so excited about bringing in someone with experience, but I was also nervous. I remember having a meeting with him, and at one point, I accidentally spilled water all over myself while trying to make a point. Instead of being embarrassed, I just laughed it off and said, "Well, this is one way to cool down a hot conversation." He looked at me and laughed too, and that broke the ice. After that, our meetings were much more relaxed. I learned that sometimes it's okay to not be perfect and to let your guard down. All of these moments, the awkward ones, the funny ones, the mistakes, have shaped who I am as a leader. I've learned that the best way to lead is to be open, to learn from others, and to keep laughing along the way. Even when things are tough, it's important to enjoy the journey and not take yourself too seriously. And the truth is, I'm still learning every day. But I'm excited to see where this journey will take me next. As Facebook grew into a global powerhouse, I learned that being a leader isn't just about making big decisions. It's about leading by example, staying humble, and never forgetting where you came from. And let me tell you, Staying humble as a CEO can be pretty challenging when you're constantly in the spotlight and the company is growing faster than you can imagine. One of the first lessons I learned was that leadership is about more than just giving orders. When you're the CEO of a company like Facebook, you need to inspire your team, not just tell them what to do. That's easier said than done. In the beginning, I tried to take on everything myself. I thought that if I worked harder, stayed up later, and made all the decisions, everything would be fine. But as the company grew, I quickly realized that I couldn't do everything on my own. If I didn't learn to delegate and trust my team, I was going to burn out fast. That's when I started focusing on building a team of people who were smarter and more experienced than me in different areas. I hired people who were experts in everything from security to marketing to data science. I realized that my job wasn't to know everything. It was to empower the people around me and help them do their best work. And that was one of the most important lessons in leadership. It's about creating an environment where everyone can thrive and contribute to the mission. As I built Facebook into the global platform it is today, I made sure to stay grounded. No matter how successful we became, I never wanted to lose sight of what truly mattered. I never wanted to be the CEO who thought he knew everything. So, I made it a point to keep learning. I would meet with my team regularly, ask questions, and be open to feedback. Even when I made mistakes, I tried to learn from them, rather than letting my ego get in the way. Humility is often seen as a soft skill, but I learned that it's one of the most important traits a leader can have. No matter how successful you are, there will always be challenges and moments of failure. And when those moments come, you need to be able to step back, acknowledge what went wrong, and figure out how to fix it. The best leaders aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who admit their mistakes and keep improving. One of the funniest moments that taught me about humility came when we were working on the launch of a major new feature. I was so excited about it and thought it would be a game changer for Facebook. We spent months developing it, and I couldn't wait to share it with the world. But when we finally launched it, things didn't go as planned. The feature wasn't as popular as we hoped, and people didn't react the way we expected. I was disappointed, but instead of blaming others, I took responsibility. I remember saying, "Well, that didn't go as expected. Let's figure out what we can learn from it." And honestly, that moment taught me more about leadership than any success ever could. It showed me that it's not about being right all the time. It's about being honest, learning, and moving forward. As I reflect on my journey, I realize that my success isn't just about Facebook. It's about the people I've worked with, the lessons I've learned, and the ability to grow alongside my team. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers and the success, but at the end of the day, what matters is how you lead and how you impact the people around you. Being a CEO isn't just about being at the top. It's about staying true to your values, being humble, and continuing to grow every single day. As Facebook continued to evolve, I began thinking about what the future of the company could look like. We had already built one of the most powerful social networks in the world, but I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to create something that would define the next generation of technology. That's when we started to shift our focus towards something entirely new: virtual reality, VR. In 2014, we made one of the biggest moves in Facebook's history. We acquired Oculus, a company that was building virtual reality technology. At the time, virtual reality seemed like something out of a science fiction movie. People weren't sure if it would ever become mainstream, and there were a lot of doubts about whether it could ever be practical for everyday use. But I saw something different. I saw the potential to change the way people experience the world, to connect with others in entirely new ways, and to bring people together like never before. But diving into VR wasn't without its challenges. For one, the technology was still in its early stages, and there were a lot of problems to solve. The hardware was bulky, the experience wasn't smooth, and it was expensive. I remember some people questioning why Facebook, a social media company, was investing in something so different from what we were known for. But I knew that if we could make VR work, it would change everything. It wasn't just about entertainment. It was about giving people the ability to experience things in a more immersive way, to visit faraway places, interact with friends in virtual spaces, and even experience events as if they were there. It took a lot of time, energy, and resources, but over the years, we've made huge strides in VR. Oculus is no longer just about gaming. It's about creating new possibilities for communication, learning, and even business. One of my proudest moments came when we introduced social VR experiences, where people could interact with others in virtual environments. It was incredible to see people from all over the world meeting in a virtual space, chatting, and playing games together, as if they were physically there. Of course, not everything went according to plan. The first VR headsets we released weren't perfect. There were bugs, and the technology wasn't as seamless as we hoped. But we didn't let that stop us. We took the feedback from users, worked with our engineers, and kept pushing forward. The reality is, when you're innovating and working on the cutting edge of technology, failure is just part of the process. What matters is that you keep learning, keep improving, and keep moving forward. VR is still a long way from reaching its full potential, but I believe it will one day transform the way we connect with each other. Looking back, it's clear to me that this move into virtual reality wasn't just about trying to stay relevant in a rapidly changing tech landscape. It was about continuing to push the boundaries of what's possible and building the future of connection. And while Facebook may have started as a simple way for people to share photos and updates, today, it's about more than that. It's about creating new ways for people to experience the world, and ultimately, it's about finding ways to connect in a deeper, more meaningful way. As I look ahead to the future, I see a world that's going to be connected in ways we've never imagined before. Facebook and the technologies we've developed are just the beginning of what's possible. We're already seeing new forms of communication emerge, from virtual reality to augmented reality, and I'm more excited than ever about the possibilities for the future of social media. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, what's next for Facebook? It's a fair question because, let's face it, we've been around for a while. But the truth is, we're just getting started. Facebook is no longer just about sharing photos or status updates. We've built a platform where people can do everything from live streaming events to building entire businesses. And the next phase is about expanding those capabilities even further. One thing we're really excited about is the potential of augmented reality, AR. While virtual reality immerses you in a completely new world, augmented reality allows you to enhance the world you're already in. Imagine being able to see information about your surroundings just by looking at them through your phone or a pair of AR glasses. This could revolutionize everything from shopping to travel to education. You could be walking through a museum, and your AR glasses could show you additional information about the paintings or historical events right in front of you. It's about making the world more interactive and helping people experience it in new and exciting ways. But AR isn't just about making the world more fun. It's also about helping people connect in ways that weren't possible before. Think about a virtual meeting with your colleagues. Instead of staring at a screen full of tiny squares, you could sit in a virtual room together, interacting in real time as if you were all in the same space. That's the future we're working toward. A future where the boundaries between the digital and physical worlds blur, and people can interact and connect more naturally. One of the things that keeps me focused on the future is remembering why we started Facebook in the first place: to connect people. The world is changing quickly, and we're not just building a platform for today, we're building a platform for tomorrow. And while I can't predict exactly what the future will look like, I know that Facebook will continue to evolve and adapt to the changing needs of our users. Whether it's through new technologies like AR and VR or through new ways of using social media to make the world a better place, we're committed to helping people connect, communicate, and share their lives in meaningful ways. Looking ahead, I'm excited about the possibilities, but I also know that there will be challenges along the way. The world is more connected than ever, but it's also more complex. As a company, we'll continue to face tough questions about privacy, security, and how we can keep the platform safe for everyone. But the one thing that hasn't changed since I started Facebook is our mission to bring the world closer together. And no matter what happens in the future, that's a goal I'll always be working toward. As Facebook has evolved, so has the role of social media in society. When we first launched, it was all about connecting with friends, sharing moments, and building a community. But as time went on, I began to realize that social media wasn't just changing the way people interacted, it was shaping the way society functions as a whole. From politics to business to culture, social media has become a major player in almost every aspect of modern life. One of the things that excites me the most about social media is its ability to give everyone a voice. In the past, only a select few could reach a global audience. Think about newspapers, TV, and radio. But now, anyone with a smartphone can share their thoughts, ideas, and stories with the world. This democratization of communication has the power to spark change, raise awareness, and connect people with similar passions and causes. Whether it's someone raising money for a charity, a small business using Facebook to reach customers, or a protest spreading across borders, social media has become a powerful tool for creating impact. But with great power comes great responsibility. As we've seen over the years, social media can also be used in ways that are harmful. From misinformation to cyberbullying to the spread of hate speech. These are serious challenges that we need to address. At Facebook, we've been working hard to create tools that protect users and provide better control over what they see. We've made progress, but we know there's still a lot of work to be done. It's also important to acknowledge that social media can sometimes make people feel more isolated. While it connects people across distances, it can also create a sense of disconnection when we spend too much time online. Social media has been linked to issues like anxiety and depression, especially among younger users. I've seen this firsthand, and it's something I take very seriously. That's why we've been exploring ways to make Facebook and Instagram healthier by encouraging positive interactions and making sure people are spending their time on our platforms in ways that benefit their mental health. I've learned that social media is not inherently good or bad. It's how we use it that matters. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used in different ways. At Facebook, we believe that social media should be a force for good. We want to help people build meaningful connections, stay informed, and support each other. But we also want to make sure that we are part of the solution when it comes to the challenges and risks that come with it. As we look toward the future, I believe social media has the potential to help us solve some of the world's biggest problems. From healthcare to education to climate change, we're already seeing the ways that social media can raise awareness and spark action. It's a tool that can bring people together to work on solutions, and that's something I'm incredibly passionate about. Facebook is just one part of the puzzle. but I believe that social media can play a huge role in shaping the future of society. Looking back on everything we've accomplished with Facebook, I can't help but feel proud of the impact we've had. But I also know that we can never stop learning, growing, and adapting. The tech world is always changing, and with it, the way people use social media. As Facebook continues to evolve, so do my personal goals and values. One of the most important things I've learned through this journey is the power of staying grounded. When Facebook started to grow, I could have easily gotten caught up in the fame, the success, and the attention. But I knew that if I wanted to lead Facebook to where it is today, I needed to focus on what truly mattered, connecting people and building something that would have a lasting impact. No matter how successful we became, I had to remember why we started in the first place. In the early days, it was easy to get distracted by the outside noise. Everyone had an opinion about what we should be doing or where we should be going. People would tell me to focus on monetizing the platform, or that we should shift our focus to something else. But I stayed true to the vision I had when I first created Facebook. I knew that if we built a platform that genuinely helped people connect and share their lives, everything else would fall into place. The key to staying grounded, for me, has always been having a strong sense of purpose. Every day, I remind myself that our mission is bigger than just Facebook. It's about making the world more open and connected. I'm not doing this for the money or the fame. I'm doing it because I believe in the power of technology to improve people's lives. And that belief has kept me focused, even during the most difficult times. Of course, staying grounded doesn't mean ignoring the challenges. Over the years, Facebook has faced some tough moments, from privacy concerns to public backlash. There were moments when it felt like everything we worked for was being questioned. But instead of shying away from these challenges, I took them head on. I worked with my team to learn from our mistakes and improve. It wasn't easy, but I knew that every setback was an opportunity to grow. Now, as I look toward the future, I know that Facebook isn't the end of the road for me. It's just the beginning. We're working on new projects like the metaverse, which will create entirely new digital experiences. We're exploring new ways to help people connect, learn, and grow. And we're just getting started with everything that's possible. The most important lesson I've learned throughout all of this is that growth isn't just about success. It's about being able to look back at where you started, see how far you've come, and know that you've stayed true to your values along the way. As we move forward, I'll continue to focus on building a better, more connected world, one step at a time.